Hey everyone, welcome to JA's Recipe for Success video and podcast show. Welcome to my kitchen. This is Lori Salarulo. I am the fortunate president CEO of Junior Achievement of South Florida, and I get to host this amazing show and talk to so many great leaders and entrepreneurs in our community. This show was created to do just that, hear about their journeys, hear about the ingredients to their success, and to inspire our audience, which includes the over 54,000 students that we serve each year, teaching them about workforce readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy, which I think we can all agree is so important today. I know I've learned so much from these interviews, and I hope that all of you who are watching or have watched in the past have also learned from our guests. If you are a first-time person to our show or viewer, please go back and look at some of our past interviews that are pretty amazing. Some great people. They're at jasouthflorida.org or our YouTube channel, Junior Achievement of South Florida. You know, this month is special to Junior Achievement. It is JA Alumni Month. We know JA programs have a strong impact on our participants' professional and personal development as they go into the working world. JA recently did a study of our survey, a survey of our alumni that revealed that JA influenced their lives in regard to their career path or was the major reason why they became an entrepreneur. This month, we'll be talking to JA alumni who will share their story and their ingredients to success. I'd like to welcome our first JA alumni this month, Mr. Michael Goodman, who is the founder of Goodman Public Relations and also an investor in the Lips brand. And so, Michael, I want to welcome you as our first guest this month to JA's Recipe for Success. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Good morning, Lori. Good to see you.
You too. Did you have a great holiday, I hope?
You know, it was nice to kick back and relax and have some peace and quiet. COVID definitely has impacted a lot of things, but on some level, it kept it small, which was a change, and I kind of liked it. I kind of liked the small.
We're all saying that. We had a little bit smaller here. We had some family that didn't come, and so the family that was here said, I hope they're not listening, but they said, it was kind of nice not having all that drama and so many people and all that chaos. Being an Italian family. So
yeah. I understand.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad that it was peaceful. I think we can all use a little peace in our lives these days.
Yes.
So for our audience, Michael, if you would share a little bit about Goodman Public Relations, how you came to start the company and exactly what you do.
Sure. So first of all, I have been practicing public relations for a long time. Over 30 years, actually. So I fell into it going to school, working 3 jobs, putting myself through school, and a very good friend said, we need somebody 10 hours a week at a PR firm and $5 an hour. Will you do it? And that's how it started for me. And I had some wonderful mentors and just embraced all the things that a PR person could really do and not only to help clients, but also help the community. So Goodman Public Relations is a result of that. And what we are here is a full service public relations marketing and advertising company. So some of our clients like South Florida Regional Transportation Authority in Tri-Rail, we do PR, we do crisis work, we do ad campaigns. Some clients like History Fort Lauderdale, the Galleria at Fort Lauderdale, Broward MPO, social media campaigns, community engagement campaigns, special event planning, website development, graphic design. So I really learned to be a jack of all trades and to be able to give clients this full circle approach to marketing. So yeah, it's been a good run. I just turned 57 in October, and looking back, it's been a really wonderful opportunity in life. I've been very fortunate to do a lot of great things because of being a PR person.
Yeah. I think there's something about basically you're telling their story, right? Which I love.
Yeah.
Obviously because I love doing this show because that's what I really love, hearing people's story. And then sometimes my kids will say to me, "Mom, you're so nosy. Like, why are you asking that person all those questions?" It's not that I'm being nosy. I guess I'm curious, but I just love hearing the stories of how people got to where they are, right?
Right.
Things that affected their life.
So totally. So even when I meet with new clients, I actually ask questions that are unusual sometimes to these clients because I dig into their personal lives, because I really want their business message. I want it to shine through that there's passion. I want to show their passion. If there's a charity or a cause that's near and dear to their heart, I want to like parlay that into some kind of promotion or fundraising opportunity or development program. So yeah, the stories are key. And I always say when I've spoken at colleges and groups and stuff that I am a connector. So I am connecting news items and messages to media. I am connecting charities to corporations, and so on and so on. So I'm a connector,
Yeah.
PR advertising, I'm just going to put connector on my business card and call it a day.
I love it. I love it. I think, well, listen, I mean, especially in this world today that we're living in the virtual world, connecting looks a little different, right? And PR and marketing and events look a lot different. Events, I'm not so sure they look like anything right now, although they're virtual. But so let's, that kind of leads me to I want to hear your thoughts on that, because how we connect today, how we tell the story is so different than it was a year ago.
The one thing that's clear about that is in doing PR and being a crisis communication specialist, I cannot tell you how many murders and serious crime incidents I have had to deal with over the years. And what social media has done in that case is made our jobs 300 times harder, because we have to work within a minute. It used to be there would be a crime at somewhere and the police would be called, and an hour later the news crew would show up, right? Now you have people with their cell phones shooting every detail and telling your story before you even get a chance to pick up the phone. So it has totally created a different scenario, scene of events for PR people to have to be that much more prepared and prepare their clients. One of my clients, we just had a meeting this week about retooling their crisis communications plan, because they sent it to me and I said, this is done 20 years ago. This would not apply today because we have to work within 60 seconds or less. So it's really changed. It's really changed a lot. When I first started PR at the $5 an hour, I was the clip and paste guy. And what that meant was we used to literally clip and paste articles out of the newspaper and put them in a really pretty position on a piece of paper and present the client with a printed clipbook. Those were the days back then where I used to sit and cut with scissors and glue, and that's what we did. Now everything is digital and quick, and in some regards it's easier, but I would say as a whole, my job is not only more time intensive, but just I got to be on my toes so much more.
And probably I would imagine the crisis management is even at a greater level, because before you got to tell the story, as you said, before there were cell phones and all of that, you got to craft the story. Now it's almost like you're doing damage control, right? And having to rewrite the story.
Well, if you're not prepared, I mean, that's the key. It's in preparation. I have some clients that are really every year actually do drills and really hone in on potential risk. And that is a good client to have. And you can already prepare messages for a murder. You can kind of prepare messages for a hurricane, tornado. There are some things that you can do to be prepared. And I had years of that, unfortunately, around the country. I was on call 24/7 at sometimes. And I had to deal with some horrific things, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that preparation. Talk about having a plan, right? I want to go back to something you said earlier about having mentors, right? Junior achievement, of course, is all about, and I think that's what makes it unique, is that connection, as you put it, between the business community, right, our schools and our students, and junior achievement programs and curriculums. And that's what I think makes it so real and relevant. Can you talk a little bit about that for me and your J experience?
Yeah. Well, I want to say wholeheartedly that I am a big proponent of junior achievement, and on a number of levels. So first of all, when I was in high school, I was actually in the program, and I have fond memories of it because Florida Power & Light was our sponsor, if you will, and there were executives. I can visually see them, but I can't remember their names, so I can visually see them. And we actually created tennis racket clocks. That was our product to sell. We sold stock, we created the concept, we promoted it, we sold it. I 100% think that experience impacted my life in a big way. You know, and I'm not just making that up because we're talking here. I think like real hands-on experience. So sometimes I'll use an analogy. Sometimes I say, you know what, maybe it's better if somebody travels the world instead of a 4-year degree because they're getting real life, experience. Of course, the books are necessary. But JA gives you that real life experience, and it kind of puts you in a place to almost create your path. Because if you're not comfortable in any of those modes, whether it's sales or the product development or any of the tools or any of the work modes that you had to do to get to where your project was, it kind of gives you a guide of what's good for you and what you're comfortable with. So for me, it was a great experience. And I honestly I can visualize the advisors. I just can't remember their names, but we won Company of the Year. I remember the tennis racket clocks fondly.
It's so funny because people do. I speak to people. We have had Pam Huizinga on this show and other people that have gone through the program, and they can remember their products. I mean, their first business great experience. And so I think, obviously, just the fact that you all can remember the company and you can picture these executives tells me that the way that this is imprinted, right, is imprinted in your mind and in your life is amazing. And there's not a lot of things we can say that about from our younger days, right?
I would love every kid to go through it. I did it in high school. I know that JA has some younger programs. I thought high school was, the perfect age. I was more aware and in a position to have a little bit thought process as to my path, if I was going to go to college or I was going to be, vocational job. And I have been toward your facility, I am 100% behind the program. I mean, kids, also we talk social media, kids are getting bombarded with a lot of different things. They're glued to their phones, and their experience level is actually changing, and they need hands-on experience with the phone put away. And the JA offers that, on a good level to, my grandparents always used to say, if you don't know where you want to be by your 30, you're done. And I always had that imprinted in my head that, oh my God, I got to hurry up. I got to be, by 30 years old, I got to be in a good place. And it's kind of true, and JA can kind of help somebody, pick their path maybe a little earlier, or at least, have a concept of what they're comfortable with, go in a good direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So one of our viewers asked a question about this career path and this business is, how did you break into the business? They want to know how to advise their daughter to get into this field. How did you break into the field, and how would you suggest to young people that they might, if this is an interest of theirs, they might break in?
So, I always tell people that I've been really lucky all my life. So in my case, it was luck. Like, again, I was working 3 jobs and putting myself through school. And I luckily had friended some people that were in PR. And so they kind of guided me in that path. But one of the things that I tell interns and people that I meet on a regular level is first find your passion, because this has to be your passion. PR people are behind the scenes, pulling strings, they're not in the limelight. The money is not always, 100% the best until you're later in your life. And you have to have a passion. You have to like people. You have to be social. You have to be cognizant of your appearance. There's a lot of things you got to do. And then the other thing I tell them is get involved. Like, if you know this is your path, go to the Humane Society, intern, go to American Cancer Society and be part of the walk. Connect with people, do things that connect you to people that will help you, and get some experience. That is really key. It's not the old days where you just get on the phone and somebody can call and get you a job. There are tons of people looking for work, and you have to stand out and shine. And when I see resumes that show, I was on the school newspaper, I volunteered at the Humane Society, I helped with the walk, I was on the marketing committee for the American Cancer Society walk, all those things, I know where they're going to go. I already know they're going to excel. And that's how you get ahead. You got to get involved and be passionate.
And hard work, I heard you mention, also working, great job.
Well, nobody gets, all of us, blood, sweat, and tears is an interesting term, but I think if I didn't work 12 hours a day in my younger days and, made people notice me, I wouldn't be owning a business right now. To me, it wasn't going to work. It was fun. It was passion. And I could be there all day and night. And that's how you know you're in the right career. And that's key to being successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, I also mentioned in the introduction that you are an investor in Lips in several of the locations, right? Very different business, especially right now. Can you talk a little bit about that? How did you decide to diversify your business interest? Number one, how is that different from the PR business? And then what's happening there today, right? And
right.
What we're going to do.
So there's a few founders that have created the Lips brand and were ahead of their time. Now drag entertainment, that kind of entertainment is pretty mainstream. But back in the day, 30 years ago, when they founded it, it was kind of fringe. And so they took it to a different level. I actually became cognizant of Lips by accident in that I was invited to a political fundraiser that happened to be at Lips. And I went and I kind of had a really good time, and that's what Lips mantra is about, celebration and fun. And I started to hang out and get to know a lot of the people. And in doing so, I watched clearly the mechanisms that made it successful. And when it was time for restaurants to open in other locations, I seized the opportunity to invest. And it is a very different business. Restaurant entertainment business is totally different. It is called blood, sweat, and tears because it's 24/7. It's huge staffs, it's food, it's liquor, there's a lot of different things. And in Lips' case, it's a cast of entertainers. So, it's totally different. Restaurant business is really one of the hardest businesses that people can venture into. But PR and marketing does fall into that because a successful business has to have good PR and marketing to maintain and grow. So I'm able to, as an investor, when it's appropriate, be able to guide and help. And one of the things I've done here in Fort Lauderdale for the brand is clearly charitable collaborations. And I've had successful people and leaders in our community like Heiko and Dan Lindblade and folks like that who have actually put in drag to raise money for charities. Yeah, you've been there. So I've actually, done great things in the name of fun. And so that's how I look at all that, is it's fun entertainment, and Lips is a corner in that market in terms of celebrations and birthdays and anniversaries and even divorces.
That's right. Yeah, I don't think the vision of Heiko or Dan will ever lose my mind. They are forever burned in my memory. I love them both. And boy, talk about fun guys. So I love that. You mentioned something earlier, and I think this is kind of an interesting thing. We were talking a little bit about, diversity and all of that. And you talked about the messaging having to be universal, right? And so, lips, of course, as you said, trans, and drag and all of that, right? Such a different world,
Right.
but yet, and a different message, because how people accept that, how they feel about that, their comfort level with it, right, is so different. We all,
Right.
everybody has some bias in them. Talk a little bit about that as part of that community, as part of a business in a different community. Talk about that universal messaging and how do you address that?
Well, with most branding and marketing campaigns, in most business, you want to reach the masses. So yes, you want to have a universal message that's, clear and concise and is palatable to the majority. And whatever the business is, whether it's Lips or the Capitol Grill or whatever, there is a direction or a message that you use to portray that. In Lips' case, it's about fun and celebration, and how that translates. It's universal. That's universal. It's interesting because I'm using that as an example, and I'll give others, but people will come there who probably would not ever consider being in that realm at all, and they'll come in very scared and nervous. It might be maybe 6 girls and 2 gentlemen, and you could tell the gentlemen are not comfortable. And almost every single time when I go up to that table and ask how was it, oh my God, man, it was great. So it's totally about fun. And I think fun is universal, celebration is universal, your birthday is universal, anniversary is universal, and giving back to the community is universal. So Lips has crossed that barrier, and other clients have the same thing, like a Tri-Rail, where you're trying to get people on board the train, where you might pick a message about the cost, that it's less than $5 a day. So in any good PR campaign or marketing campaign, you find those angles or those points that can be accepted by all. And in all that, too, you're putting aside politics, you're putting aside biases. There are some times where your campaign is focused to LGBT, you're focused to African Americans, you're focused to Hispanics, but on the most part, message has to be universal. I try to live by that premise when it makes sense for my clients, that how you perceive things, is very important, and how they perceive things is even more important. So it's a balance. It's clearly a balance.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've been talking, I was pulling out some of the ingredients to your success, and I'll just read off a few of them.
Okay.
When we're at JA World, I have a big whiteboard, and I put them up there while we were talking. But so some of the things that you talked about, Michael, were mentors, having mentors, being a mentor, helping the community and giving back, telling people stories, telling your story, right, and how you tell it, that universal message, whether it's about you or the client or the product or whatever it might be, connecting, right? Connections have been so important for you and in your business and in your life. Being prepared, having a plan, hands-on experience. You talked about that through your JA and through your working 3 jobs and the experience you got, especially when you talked about going into the industry that you might have a passion for, right? And finding that passion and then getting into that industry, volunteering and getting to know it. And so that work doesn't feel like work, it feels like fun. Hard work, you talked a lot about over the years, and standing out. I love that one, right? Because I always told my daughter that, I can hire 50 people tomorrow that all have great resumes. How does somebody stand out from the rest? Right. And so, and coming from Ogilvy and Mather, having been in that world that you're in back in my first career, there were 200 employees, right? How did you stand out and become the next manager or the next director? right? Something had to do that. So I love that. Watching and learn how a business works. You talked about that. Right? You stood on the sidelines. Have fun and celebrate. Right. And then collaboration, of course, along with connections and giving back. You talked about again. Those are amazing ingredients to your recipe. But I always say, and of course, being Italian, being Spanish, there's always, whatever you're cooking, there's always one main ingredient to someone's success or to a recipe success. What is Michael Goodman's main ingredient to your recipe for success?
It's drive. It's really drive, my motivation. I grew up, my dad was in retail. My mother was office manager of financial accounting for a doctor's office. And I, in high school, was kind of the shy, geeky kid. I was always getting bullied, faggot and that whole realm, and it was pretty rough. But I was lucky to have a family across the street who was a doctor, a neurologist, and I was like the nanny to those 3 kids. And what that meant was on the weekends I was with those kids, I went on trips with this family, and I took care of these 3 kids. And it gave me the drive because I saw the lifestyle that they had. Now, my parents weren't poor, but it was, middle income, but there wasn't extravagance. But I saw the other side of this doctor family. And it wasn't always materialistic, but it was being able to go to the circus and being able to go strawberry picking and taking a trip here and taking a trip there. And money seemed to be no object. And I don't mean that in a negative way. And so it gave me a lot of drive to want to succeed, like to not want to be in a place when I was 60 years old and I was struggling. And so that is, I think, in a weird way, that's become my drive. Yes, I'm passionate about what I do, but deep down inside, the drive has always been to not be in a place for myself that was uncomfortable for me. And so that became my drive, and I also wanted to help others. I get so much joy out of helping the homeless when I can, helping friends when I can, donating to charity. That is a passion of mine. And now, because of my drive, that gets to be part of my life. So I'm going to say drive, the passion and the drive to want to succeed, the passion and the drive to love what you do is clearly my recipe for success. Clearly. And there's times when I have self-doubt, and we all do, and you think about what else can I do in my life to make it better, to help others and do everything. And again, it's a drive. That's drive. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You talked about you pictured, right? You saw what you wanted, what you didn't want. And then use that vision, that picture, right, of what you wanted that end goal to look like, and use that drive, right, to make sure that you got to where you wanted to get to. And I love that, because you got to have that picture. Where you going?
Well, again, that's where JA comes in. So because of that opportunity with those advisors who were, my point, executives, the shirt and tie and professional, and then to go through the motions of creating a business and a product and all that, it kind of, again, as I said earlier, it allows you to put a path to what you can do within your realm to be successful. And again, successful means different things to different people. Somebody's success is having 3 kids. Somebody's is to have a Lamborghini. Mine was just to be comfortable and not dependent on anybody. That was for me. And on a personal note, I'm very transparent. So there is a period in my time where my mother, and didn't mean any harm, she said, you'll never be successful. Because, it was an LGBT thing. She found out I was gay, and you'll never be successful. And so even to this day, that registers in my mind whenever I am, concerned about losing an account or business is up or down. That's in my head. So again, that drive to succeed to prove somebody wrong is also there. And we all have those personal moments that make us who we are. And I'm a little bit more somebody with heart on the sleeve. I'm a little bit more transparent than others, but I think that's why my clients appreciate the honesty. I think, that's another thing is you can't mess up. Like when you're younger, you have to be honest and transparent with people, and that all catches up with you. You can't bullshit your way through. You can't. It comes back to you. You have to have why you stand out, because in the long run, somebody's going to upstand you. It's going to happen,
Yeah, what's the word they're using for that today? Authenticity, right? And you're right. I mean, I think everybody can see through bullshit, right? This morning I was on a huddle. I get on this motivational type of huddle every morning, and they were talking about C words. And one person said, C is for crap, because people can see when you're full of crap, right? And so I hate to be so crude, but he was right when he said it, And so I love that about you, and I think that's, my daughter always says, why do you tell everybody everything, and why are you so open about? And because first of all, usually I will end up helping them because maybe they know. So with having a child with a disability, right? With Patrick, she'll say, why do you tell everyone that you have a son with a disability, or why do you tell people you have a daughter with it, in the LGBT population? And I'm like, because first of all, I'm proud of you both. It doesn't matter what, but also I have found that by being open and honest, either they've been able to bring something to my life, that person, right? Oh my God, my daughter, has Down syndrome, or, whatever, right? And you find commonalities sometimes and how you can help each other through that. But I love what you said, and I don't want to miss the chance to stay on that for a second. Staying on your main ingredient of drive, I was going to say to you, how do you sustain that drive? Because it can be exhausting sometimes.
Yes.
But it hit the nail on the head when you talked about the bullying and talking about this woman who told you weren't going to be successful. It sounds like the way you sustain it is by reminding yourself, right, of those people who doubted you and pushing through.
Totally. We all have self-doubt, and we all have days where we're not as confident as others. I mean, I always say even the most successful people and even entertainers, you have times when you don't want to hit that stage. Oh my God, I'm not good enough. But you kind of muddle through, and you find a path to make it better. And so in my case, again, the giving back, I had a new business meeting yesterday, and when I can connect different groups to clients, and part of my job allows me to know that, something good is going to come of it, more than just somebody's in the newspaper, getting a plug. It's a great thing. I wanted to quickly too also go back to the trust thing, because as a PR person, it's not only that your client has to trust you and the community has to trust you, but the media has to trust you. And so this transparency and honesty is how you develop relationships with the media, because I can get calls at any time for a media person to know I'm going to give them the story as straight as I can within my realm, and not BS them and put them on a goose chase. And so that truth and transparency is really, really key. I'm sorry I switched from drive back to truth and honesty, but everything is connected. As a PR person, you almost have to be this beacon of light. Even in your role, there is a certain expectation that people have of your being. So, I actually, interestingly enough, and we talked about this before we got on, I am an entertainer, and I do entertaining work. And I will tell you that at one point, I kept it very quiet. I wasn't transparent. And somebody in the community called one of my clients to try to discredit me for doing that. And my client actually said, yes, I've been to those shows. They're really great, and kind of nipped it in the bud. But that's going back to Heiko and Dan and things like that. I think that when we all open ourselves up to new ideas, other people's thoughts and processes and opportunities, we grow. We can again help each other. It's the beacon of light that I do sometimes feel I have this pressure to be in a certain bubble because I am, protecting people's images, and I have to make sure my image is the same. Is key, and you talk about kids and going back to that. I know I ramble, but that goes back to that too. Is stay straight, meaning don't do drugs, don't get in trouble, don't shoplift. Keep it good. Don't have anything on your record. That's the other thing about what can make my kids successful. Well, be on the straight and narrow. Be on a good path. Don't mess up. Don't hang on with the wrong people.
Yeah, I think our young people don't understand that their brand, right, as they are in high school or even middle school these days, right, they are already beginning to develop their own personal brand, and it will follow them, right, forever. So
100%.
So, Michael, this has I love every time I get to spend time with you because I think of that genuine, I love that genuine part of you and the transparency and just being able to have real conversations. You and I have always been that way. And I love that about you. Love the main ingredient that you talked about, drive, and how to sustain that drive to succeed. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your belief and your confidence and your support of JA. And so glad that you're in our family. And thank you for all that you do in our community. And just, keep getting out there and telling the story.
And you as well. I love that we get to work together. I love what you do. You're doing a great job at Junior Achievement, South Florida. And let's just all make it happen. Let's all work together and breathe the same air and come together.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone who's been watching and commenting and sharing their thoughts and their questions for Michael. Thank you so much for watching. You can check out the show. If you didn't get to catch the whole thing, you can check it out on YouTube or on our website, jasouthflorida.org. Thank you, everyone. Let's get cooking.